Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. I'm Brian, Mr. Smith, and this is kind of sort of my kitchen. This is the dining room. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Glad you found me. Hope you get something out of my videos. We do some cooking, do some baking, canning, sit around and talk like we're going to do today. We pretty much just do, I'm documenting me, basically. If you're new to the channel and you don't know. I want my great-great-great-great-grandkids to know who I am. So today being Tuesday, I just thought we'd sit around and talk, give some updates on what's going on, at least in my life. If you're returning to the channel, thank you. I appreciate it. It means you're getting something out of this, and that's awesome. If you enjoy the videos and want to be a part of our community, don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to know when my videos come out. I always feel it's a privilege to, that you allow me into your life, even if it's only, for 30 to an hour every, 3 times a week. That's a lot of time, especially in today's society. A lot going on. And that's awesome. And as I said, and today I think that we're just going to talk about anything. Oh, before I forget, when it comes to comments, I love comments. Leave as many as you like, as often as you want. I respond to everything. Just keep them nice. Our community, although it is small, it is mighty, but it is also very diversified. 8 different ages, ethnicities, backgrounds, ways of life. And we all get along very well. I mean, this channel does promote a lot of living in harmony and being good neighbors. Anyhow, that being said, like I said, just some updates on stuff. And I don't really have any certain topic to talk about. The reality of it all is we've been so busy moving, I haven't got to do a whole lot other than move. And I know you say to yourself, God, Brian, you've been moving for 2.5, 3 weeks. Well, and that's true, but we didn't use a moving company. So it wasn't like they came and packed us all up in one fell swoop. It was just me and Chris. And we had to do it in between work. Although we did have some vacation time in there, but that was a majority of the, vacation was actually a majority of when we moved. I was just getting down to the nitty gritty. We're finally out of the old house, but we still had to do some painting, which we got done today, yesterday. We finished that up. We got people coming out to clean the carpets today, and then we'll be done over there. And in the meantime, we've been busy unpacking everything, which has left the house not a complete disaster, but not an incomplete disaster. Plus, I had my fish to move. Those of you who have fish and have moved with them understand, but the process for moving fish, where dogs and cats, you just pick them up and go. Fish are a little more complicated, and there's a couple different ways to do it. The way we did it was to I set up the first tank. Luckily I have spare tanks, a lot of spare tanks. So I set one up, and then that way I could bring the fish over and put them in the spare tank. Per tank, I had to do this 7 times. But I put a tank's worth of fish in the spare tank. Then I broke down their tank, brought it over, and even though there was a bio load in that tank, I still let it cycle for a day. I didn't clean the filters out. I left the rocks and wood and all that were in their tanks wet, so that way the healthy bio load that was in there, I maintained most of it. So I only had to let it cycle, which is let the bacteria grow for 24 hours. I mean, it was fresh water, so there wasn't anything really for it to eat other than what was already in the gravel or the rocks filter. So 24 hours to get that moving. Then I put the fish that I had in the holding tank back into their normal tank. Wash, rinse, and repeat. So with 7 tanks, that literally took about 8 days, of my vacation time. It was not a fast move at all. with those. And I still ended up losing 3 of my fish. I lost both my blood parrots, and they were 3 of my 4 oldest fish. My oldest fish is still around. Probably will be forever. He's a pleco, common pleco, or a sucker fish, as people who aren't in the fish keeping hobby know them as. And he is 7 years old, and he's a beast. Java is his name, after Jabba the Hutt. But anyhow, we got that done. We got all our stuff moved over, and now we're just in the process of putting everything away. And we got a lot put away, but if you were to go out to the garage right now, it looks like we haven't moved a thing, and that's all my tools. I have a large array of mechanics tools. I have a large array of woodworking tools. I have all my fish keeping supplies. There's Christmas decorations. I mean, we have 20 years worth of stuff to move, basically. So, and then trying to figure it out. That's another thing that's kind of a pain in the butt. I don't know. For those of you who are new, that's literally my kitchen right there. And you are pretty much looking at the entire kitchen. The only thing you're missing, okay, so right there where those 3 cabinets are, the back door is right there. So if you move over this way to the other side of those 2 cabinets, all right, you've got one more door and then a stove. That's literally the entire kitchen. So it's not like my old kitchen. If you go back and check out some of my other videos, I'm literally, it's an eating kitchen. So the kitchen's a little smaller. Now I'm in the dining room, which, I mean, we've, come a long way in the dining room, but we've still got a long way to go. My favorite part about this dining room is the cabinets. Yeah, the built-in cabinets, which is where a good majority of our stuff is stored. Now, I mean, I know it's looking rough at the moment, and that's okay. It's going to. We still have, after we get everything in and situated, but like I've rearranged these cabinets in the kitchen now half a dozen times, trying to figure out what it is we absolutely need in them. All our utensils and dishwares and stuff are in these cabinets, here in the dining room, which is kind of cool. If you didn't catch above the microwave right there, I mean, that's all my spices. That I keep all my spices for the most part in mason jars. Because we use such a amount of them, I buy them in bulk and just put them in mason jars so they stay a little fresher longer. But trying to decide and determine what should be where is kind of a pain in the butt when it comes to the kitchen. I'm not gonna lie. I think I've rearranged the cabinets in that little kitchen 4 or 5 times. These are pretty much set, but not completely. But on the wall next to the kitchen here that didn't have anything on it but a little ladder, I still have shelves to put up there. We still have to paint these. These are going to look really cool, and I'll probably do one of my videos while I paint these. We're going to do a really pretty blue, which it's over there, for the cabinets, and the doors are going to be white. Or we may even reverse that, but I don't think so, because there's a lot of white in here, so we want a good accent color, and this blue goes perfect. It's awesome. I'm not even a huge fan of blue as far as wall paints go, but this looks really cool. After we do that, I still got my 5-tier shelf to hang on that wall. I'm going to build a couple shelves. We'll build them together to put on either side of the window that's to your left, my right. And then that way I'm going to hang some cast iron off those shelves along with, I don't know what we're going to put on there. It was originally going to be plants, but our plants found a home in the living room. So we don't necessarily have to do that. But that still needs to be done. The living room is pretty much complete other than some odds and ends. The basement, still got the basement going on. If you caught my video on my last update of the house and the move, I talked briefly about putting in a kitchen in the basement. I also said it was going to be maybe a couple weeks. Well, we are still going to do it, but it's not going to be a couple weeks because we're at a couple weeks and it still hasn't happened. We're still moving. I mean, I'm back to working 45, 50 hours a week. Chris is back to working all the time. So it becomes a little more challenging trying to live everyday life, but we are trying to get back to some sense of normalcy. And that includes hanging out with you guys. Yeah, but we're getting there. if nothing else, you get to learn what it takes to move a family of four. Uh, yeah, I did see the other day that Colin Powell, if you don't know who Colin Powell was, he was Secretary of State, decorated war hero. He was Secretary of State for George Bush, President Bush, um, during the 9/11 crisis. But he did so much more than that. I mean, he was the first black African American national security advisor. He was he was the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Yeah, and he was Secretary of State. He's a decorated Vietnam veteran. But he died yesterday, 84 years old. He died of complications of COVID. Now, could be controversial, but he also, I mean, he was battling melanoma and melanoma and Parkinson's, when he caught COVID, and you'll get some people who'll say, oh, well, he, didn't die of COVID. He had these other diseases, and that's what, and yes, he did, but he was maintaining them. He still had a quality of life even with them. But they had even pushed him to run for president at one time. And instead of running for president, he put his backing behind Barack Obama. And I thought that was awesome. He was very influential on the national stage as far as politics went. And I thought he was worth mentioning. He was a man, no matter his color, who did it right, and was very influential, had good moral standards and values. He knew wrong was wrong and right was right. I'm about to sneeze, so forgive me. Maybe. Or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I got napkins, PR tissues right here, just in case. Anyhow, looks like it's going away. And I thought that was awesome. That he not only dedicated his life to doing right, but serving others. And he had good moral values. He had a good sense about him. And that's awesome. Definitely somebody to look up to. So some things we're about to get into. I'm going to do Thursday. I'm going to spend my entire day canning. And I'm going to bring you along for some of it. I have got mushrooms to do. I have got beans to do. Tomorrow, Wednesday, I am going to go pick up 2 big boxes of pink Cornella apples. And that way I can make applesauce and apple pie filling and just sliced apples to eat. And all this we're going to can. So we've got about 8 different things total that we're going to can. And by the time I get done doing those, the 8th thing will probably be the pumpkins. I went out and bought 5 pumpkins. I'll probably buy a couple more. And they're just normal pumpkins. But we'll carve 2 of them up to set out for Halloween here in a week. But the rest of them, I'm going to, we'll take the skins off of them, and you'll see, because I'm going to do a video on it. But we'll peel them, essentially, get all the gook out of them, the seeds and the, I can't think of what it's called, but get all the seeds and the pulp out of them, and then we're going to process them. And you can use that for anything and everything. And it's so much cheaper than buying pumpkin puree in a can. So if you go to buy pumpkin puree in a can, it's like $2-3 a can. Well, a pumpkin only costs $3 at the moment. And you can get 2-3 cans out of a pumpkin depending on the size of the pumpkin. So it's more economical that way. I already have the jars and all that stuff. I've got jars for days at the moment. So there's that we're going to get into. As far as dinner goes tomorrow, we're gonna make chili. Fall was finally officially hit weather-wise. It's going to be in the 60s all week, highs in the 60s, lows in the 40s. And personally, this is my favorite time of year. Not so much for Halloween. I mean, Halloween's cool. Scary movies, and we love scary movies. Everybody in our house loves scary movies. But the temperature's comfortable. It's not humid. I don't mind hot, but humid just is annoying. but it's not humid anymore. You get those crisp fall mornings, where it's just cold enough to go, oh, I need a coat, or a flannel. Flannels are awesome. But not so cold that you need a parka and you have to worry about 5 feet of snow. And then it doesn't get blazing hot during the day. So you can get a lot accomplished outside. You can open up the windows. It's just a good time. But with it being fall and being chillier weather, we'll do some soups, some stews, for dinners. We're gonna do chili this week. I've got a beef stew recipe that I got a couple of them that look really good. One's got some vegetables I never thought about putting in a stew, and the other one's just a traditional beef stew with the potatoes, the carrots, and the onions, and the meat, and a really rich sauce. I have got a cheddar potato or cheesy potato soup that we also do put broccoli and chicken in. That's out of this world that I'd like to show you guys. And if I haven't, I'd have to go back and look. I got a modified recipe for hodgepodge soup that is so filling, so unbelievably filling, and yet amazingly good. And all it takes is basically a bunch of stuff you should have in your pantry anyway. There's nothing elaborate about it, but it tastes great. So, those are some ideas I'm tossing around for dinners at any rate, because it is fall. We'll probably throw in a couple more crock pot dishes, but I know I've done a lot of crock pot stuff over the last few weeks, mostly because we've been moving. But crock pot dishes are good. They're quick, they're simple, they're easy. So that's those are good starters. I've got, another boil or two I would like to do, much like the seafood boil we did last week, which, on that note, we used a fake crab in that. I would recommend trying to get real crab, or real crab isn't even nearly as expensive as lobster. I really wanted to put lobster in it, but lobster at the moment is so expensive, mostly because it's out of season, that I just could not justify spending the money for it. A pound of lobster, just the legs, was $45, which in my mind, even though that's still cheap, because if you go to a seafood restaurant, every dish is like $25, and you're feeding 4 of you, that's $100. Well, I would have only had about $60 into the, dish altogether. I still couldn't justify doing it. Not yet. Not right now. Still a lot going on. Like when we moved in, Mr. B's Appliance, if you live in the Newark area, I highly recommend them as a place to have any large appliance, washer, dryer, stove looked at or fixed. Our washer freaked out on us when we moved. They came out. It was something incredibly simple. A sensor was set off, shutting off the motor for the fill pump. And he came out, reset it, adjusted it, and it has worked great since. And they charged us nothing. That is awesome. That is old school business practices, because he wasn't here 5 minutes. So he didn't charge us, an hour labor for 5 minutes worth of work. And that says a lot about them. And I know, A, I'm letting you know about them. B, they will be my go-to for any time an appliance breaks. As far as the second kitchen goes, or bigger kitchen, I am hoping next week to either get to Habitat for Humanity, or there's another shop here in Newark that does the same thing as Habitat for Humanity, but I don't remember now what they're called, where they basically recycle house stuff, doors, knobs, cabinets, things like that, to get the cabinets for the basement kitchen. And then, and maybe a stove. It just depends on the price. My goal is to put this kitchen together using all recycled products and keep it under $500. Not including the electrical, because I do need to run. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to do the electrical yet. If I'm going to run the lines, because I need one 220 watt line and 210 watt lines for the mixers and stuff like that, just standard plugs. And then run them over to the fuse box, where I'll have an electrician come in and put them in the fuse box. Or do I just let them do the whole thing? I haven't decided yet. I'm sure one will be more cost effective than the other. We still have to get a plumber out here to do some plumbing work down in the basement. As it stands right now, there's not a true dedicated water lines for the washer or the sink that's down there. They are a combination gig, and there is no drain line in for the washer. It literally goes into a PVC pipe and then goes right into that cement sink that's down there, where then it drains into the floor drain. So we got to get that taken care of. So I need a plumber for that. Now I can do all that myself, and I probably should, but I don't want to say laziness, but at the same time, I look up at the ceiling at all the way the plumbing is done now, and it is a squirrel's nest and a mess. So what we're going to do is I've looked at what it would cost if I would do it. Now I'll get a plumber out here. I've already got a plumber in mind, and get an estimate, see what he would charge to do what I want. And we'll look at the two. So I also have to consider my time, between work, trying to do things around here, just everyday life. Is it worth, I know it will take me at least a day, if not a little longer, to do everything I want to do over there. And that's because I'm not a professional. I don't do it for a living, so I can't do it quick and fast. When I do things like plumbing and electrical, especially things like that. I mean, it's one thing to replace a sink drain, or some piping underneath the sink. But when you're rearranging and cutting into and all that, you want to take your time with it if you've not done it a lot. That way you're doing it right. So it's a project that might take me 2 days, where it might take them 4 hours. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's just like the electrical, Although electrical I'm a little more proficient at, but not by much. I did at our old house. If you look at my first few videos, that was 2 houses ago. I ran all the electrical for everything: the fish room, my office, the gallery, the bedroom that was behind the tank in the wall. I did all that myself. I didn't have to do it fast, but I learned a lot, in the process. The only thing I didn't have to do, I had somebody come out and do, was wire all those into the fuse box. So I can do the same thing here. I just may choose not to. Once again, I'll get an estimate. I'll see what they want versus the cost of doing the parts or supplies and doing it myself. But 2 weeks, we should have cabinets, possibly a stove. And I think that's it. Yeah. So that's where we stand at any rate, on where we're headed with it. I did post a question on Facebook, if we are friends on Facebook, about and you can respond here if we're not friends on Facebook, and we could become friends on Facebook. But what's your favorite fall dessert? Is it pie? If so, what kind of pie? Is it a cake? Is it a pudding? Is it things like that? I'm not that I'm stuck for ideas on desserts, because there's desserts for days, but to me, it stems from a conversation I had at work. One of the kids I worked with, I said something about making pumpkin pies for the holidays and pecan pies, and he asked me if that was what people traditionally had for holidays, which I thought was kind of an odd question. Everybody had at least one of the basic pies but then he lists off a bunch of things that they have for their meals on holidays that have been traditions in their family. I thought, how interesting is that? I wonder what the variety is amongst people. Well, with my friends between Facebook and here, I thought I'd pose a question. What is your favorite holiday dessert? Or your favorite fall dessert? What's your favorite dessert? Period. Is it something I've never heard of? I may try and make it just to see if I can, and how it tastes. I'm always into trying new things. Always trying new foods. Let's leave it at that. I know what you're thinking. Shame on you. But that being said, I'm going to get off here. I don't want to take up too much of your time today. Tomorrow, we'll be making chili. Thursday, We may try and bake something. I've got a hankering for banana cream pie, and I have a banana cream pie recipe, but a crust. Normally I make it with a graham cracker crust. I found a crust recipe for Nella wafer crust. Like the little Nella wafers you get at the grocery store. You make the crust out of those instead. That just it's mind blowing, and it sounds fantastic. So I may try that. But I know I got a lot going on Thursday with canning also. So you're either going to see me canning things. We'll either dwell into the canning or we'll make the banana cream pie. I'm almost laying odds it's going to be the canning. Doing the canning. It might be both. You never know. Just see how time goes. Time is sometimes your friend, sometimes it's your enemy. That's why they call it time. All right. So I'm going to go get ready for work because that's what I do on Tuesdays now. I work early instead of later. And try to make our plan of attack for the next 2 days off. All right? I love you. I love you very much. Tell somebody else you love them and you love them very much. It's going to make their day a whole lot better. I promise. It's going to make you feel a whole lot better. That I guarantee. All right? Until tomorrow when we get together to make some chili, you have a great day. And I'll talk to you later. All right? Love you. Bye.